Psalm 24 says the earth is the Lord's and everything within it. And this tells us that although we may own a certain plot of land, I currently own the house that I live in London, there's a sense in which I don't own it at all. I'm just a steward. It belongs to God, and I will yield it up in due course. This is true also for nations. In Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 8, when God gave the nations their inheritance, he set their boundaries according to the number of the sons of Israel. God had a plan. And in Genesis chapter 12, he revealed that plan to Abraham, who he called to leave his homeland, Ur of the Chaldees, and go to the place where he would show him, Canaan. Canaan has been called Israel, that's what we call it today, the kingdom of Israel, the kingdom of Judah, it's been called Palestine, and other things at different times. But it was the place where Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph lived, the patriarchs. You can find that history in Genesis. And then, after 400 years of slavery in Egypt under Moses, God brought the people out, the Exodus. We find that story in the book of Exodus, and the wilderness wanderings, 40 years, until on the verge of crossing the Jordan, Moses dies on Mount Nebo, and the leadership is handed to Joshua. The book of Joshua tells the story of how the Jews went into the land and conquered it, the conquest. You can read that story in the book of Joshua. But they had responsibility. They were stewards. Deuteronomy 28 warns them that if they turn away from the Lord and act wickedly, they will forfeit the land. And that's what happened. In 722 BC, the northern kingdom, Israel, was taken into captivity in Assyria. And in 587, the southern kingdom, Judah, was taken into captivity in Babylon. It was a while before they returned, but they were under the jurisdiction of the Assyrians, the Babylonians. Then come the Greeks, the Persians and the Greeks. Then come the Romans. And in AD 70, the Romans cast the Jews out of Jerusalem. They destroyed a temple, destroyed Jerusalem, and the Jews are sent into a much longer exile, which ended in 1948 with the rebirth of the state of Israel. And there we come into a very contentious subject that's divisive amongst Christians. Christians have different perspectives. But what is God's plan for the Jewish people, Israel, in relation to the land? If the earth is the Lord's, and if he gives it to whoever he wants, then we must see something of God's hand for the Jewish people being worked out within the ancient framework and setting where his story of redemption takes place. I urge you, therefore, consider these things carefully and prayerfully, and be open-hearted, because God may have things to say about his plans for his ancient people as well as his modern people that may cut across our plans and our perspectives, and we should be instructed by Scripture. May God give us grace as we consider this together. We'll be exploring that more in coming weeks.